Hey guys, Evil Bill here. We're going to do a tutorial video on Prison Architect. And what we're going to do is here we're going to try to figure out, or I'm not going to figure it out, I'm going to show you guys how to basically build a prison and hit all of the grants before you even get a prisoner to walk through the door. And therefore you will know you have a completely operational prison prior to, you know, even letting anybody walk in and having potential problems with riots and so forth. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually I prefer to use a small map. I mean a large map, excuse me. And for this purpose, I'm going to shut off fog of war. Makes it easier for the video. Okay. Uh, so let's start with the large prison area. Prison, large. There we go. So the first thing you want to do when you're starting off on Prison Architect is you want to plan. A lot of guys jump right into this and they just say, "Oh well, I'm just going to build a prison and see how it goes." You do it that way, that kind of experimentation, you're going to run into a lot of problems. You're going to have a lot of issues with empty space or things that don't work right and everything like that. There's a lot of little ins and outs since obviously it's an alpha. It doesn't have a instruction booklet that comes with it, so you can run into some serious issues if you just wing it and don't know exactly what you're doing. So what will happen here is we're going to do some planning to try to show you exactly what you want to look to do when you're building a prison. There's two ways you can build a prison. The first way is you can build an external wall that goes all the way around the map and essentially build your buildings within that, or your building within that wall. The advantages of this is you can have multiple entrances and exits on your prison and leave the doors open, and this allows for a free flow of prisoners from one place to the other. They can pick out different paths to get to different rooms. They don't all have to file down the same hallway, let's say, or there's only one option for them to get from one place to the other. It allows other ways to flow. The thing about that is that a lot of people would say, well, you build a wall all the way around this, it costs a fortune, it's really expensive. It is if you do a wall. You can do it by fence, which at this current time is free. I imagine this is not going to last forever, but right now, if you wanted to do it, you could do a fence around the entire property. It doesn't cost any money whatsoever. It just takes time. For this video, I'm not going to do that. A lot of people want to just jump right in. You put a fence around this whole area with only 8 workers. It almost takes a full day of in-game play to get that fence completed. So to me, that's kind of, for this purpose of this tutorial, it's a waste of time. So we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to build a self-contained unit that just has one entrance and one exit to the outside world. And we're going to have everybody live inside that unit and never leave, never really get outside, with the exception of maybe one yard that will have their outdoor time in it. So the advantages of this is it's quicker. Also, everything is self-contained. You don't have multiple buildings, so that can make it a little bit easier to manage the prison in terms of the flow of prisoner traffic. But you have to plan ahead, and that's where I said planning comes into key. The planning tool is really useful. I'll give you a couple of ideas of what I'm talking about. Number one is planning tools allow you that if you're kind of a guy that has, maybe borderline OCD like I do, you really like to build uniform-looking prisons. Since this is a grid game, there's a lot of repeating patterns that you use. You get comfortable using the same type of cell type and the same size workshops or other rooms. And the planning tool allows you to plan ahead so that you know how big your building has to be in order to fit all the little rooms. So there's going to be different room types that you can build. The first one is the office. Its minimum size has to be 4 by 4. In order to achieve a 4 by 4 block, you build a 6 by 6 square. Okay, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. There's your office. Your office has to be this minimum size, 4 by 4. The second type of room, and for the sake of demonstration, I'm just going to fill these in with the different types of room types. You can see the second type of room that's going to be very prevalent in your prison is obviously prison cells. And there's a couple of ways to do this. it's really personal preference. I don't think either one has an effect. It doesn't appear that having a larger cell over a smaller cell affects the prisoner's move. The first type of one, I'll show you the one that a lot of people build. They tend to go with a 3x2 cell, which looks a little bit something like this. Okay, this does work. You can jam in a ton of prisoners with this design of cell. Although I almost feel like you're truly jamming these poor guys in here, and I can't fill the room because it's not. There's no wall up, but you'll see that this is real tight. But you can get more prisoners in with that. Since I'm using a large map space, and now they introduce through bureaucracy the ability to expand the map in any direction, why not give them a bigger cell? So I personally like to design a cell that's a little bigger. Not much. It's going to be 4x3, which shows a little bit more size to it. It looks like that. Okay. Is that big? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, no, I made it too big. There you go. It's like that. So 4x3 cell, and a lot of people do use this. I like this. It's more uniform. I don't have to like cozy the door up against the wall here like a straight wall. Instead, it's like the door stands on its own, like you'd imagine in a door jamb. And so, it also allows you to kind of spread out any of the stuff you're going to put in the cell. The cleaning room also has some variations on it. Cleaning cupboard has to be 3x3. Never build a cleaning cupboard that's only 3x3. Okay, to give you an idea of a 3x3 room, it's really small, and it serves no purpose for you in terms of being able to actually get guys in there to do anything. They would not be able. You won't be able to assign jobs to a room this small, or at least not efficiently. You may be able to assign like one guy to a clean room this big, and if you have a prison that's going to have 100 cells, a cleaning room this big, even if they're all spread out throughout the prison, has no purpose. You should build it bigger than that, okay? Other rooms that you consider is the visitation room. It doesn't have a requirement. I generally build them fairly big because, you're going to have a lot of prisoners. You want space. That's part of the planning. You want to make sure you plan ahead in terms of what you're going to do for your prison, so you know when you build a room, you have either some room for expansion, or you can shimmy the rooms around a little bit. You can redesign the way that they're fitted into the internal parts of the prison. What that allows you to do is kind of determine how big a room needs to be to start off, and then you can later expand it from there and not have to worry about, well, I have to remove all these prison cells now because I have to expand the visitation. You want to be able to leave yourself a little bit of leg room so you can push outward and not interrupt what is already built, if you can help it. Sometimes you get in that situation where you don't have a choice. Garbage and deliveries are outdoors. They can be obviously edited and however you'd like, and I just generally leave them the way they are when you first start the game. I haven't found a situation where these are not adequately sized. They seem to be fine the way they are. The kitchen, it also does not have a maximum area or a minimum area, but again, you want to plan ahead, try to build it so that you do have some room to spread out. The shower is kind of the same way. Basically, all of them are kind of like that. The yard, 5x5, again, incredibly small, 5x5. So, plan ahead. If you're gonna have 100 guys, you don't want a 5x5 yard. I'd imagine. You could try it and see how it works out. I just think jamming 100 people into a 5x5 area during yard time may lead to riots. Solitary doesn't have a minimum area. I generally do a very small solitary cell. I jam those bad boys in there. If you're being a jerk, you're gonna serve some time in the hole. Canteen, likewise, plan ahead. Holding cell, 5x5 again. That's small. You want to build out, so make sure you plan ahead. And we talked about the cells, so those are the basic room sizes. These are the different types of rooms in terms of their sizes that you can try out. 3x3 again, really small. This cell is small but functional. This is a cell I'd personally prefer here. And in this case, this is the minimum requirement for an office, and there's no reason to have an office any bigger than this unless you just want to, I don't know, make it like your wardens live in large. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start designing a prison. I'm going to do it off camera, and then I'm going to come back after it's designed, and I'm going to give you guys an overview of what I'm looking to do and accomplish through the design of my prison. So I'll be back. All right, so I decided to come up with a general design here. It's fairly simple to start off, and it's going to be effective to get us to hit all of the requirements that we're going to need to get all our grants. So before we get underway here, what we're going to do is we're going to actually take out the grants. So you click on the Reports tab down in the right-hand corner. If you guys have never played before, this is how you do it. You click on Grants, and you just take all the grants. Just take them all after it auto-saves. This is going to give you a good little amount of money here to work with. Generally around $90,000, with the potential to make another 20 grand by completing some objectives. So you'd have 110,000 to start off your prison, which is a good amount of money. The other thing you're going to want to do is, generally speaking, prisons take over a day to make. And as you can see, in 23 hours and 38 minutes, I'm due to have 8 more prisoners arriving. And that's not going to work because the prison's probably not going to be completed by then. So what you do is you go to the Reports tab, go to Prisoners, and as you can see, there are these low, high, and normal risk prisoners here. You can open and close your prison to prisoners if you've selected that. You can play where there's a constant flow of prisoners, but that becomes really tricky, and I don't suggest that unless you have a death wish and want to see your prison burned to the ground. So what I do is I just close it all off to start off. While I'm building the prison, it's closed. We have no prisoners. I'll tell you up here, prison is closed to new inmates. Also, close out the CO letter. We don't need that. So here's the basic design. It's very simple. It's just a rectangle, but you'll see how functional this prison is going to be. And by the end of this, we're going to be able to complete all our objectives in the grant list and have a fully functional prison before even the first inmate arrives. So that's kind of what we're looking for. So we'll go over the basic floor design. I'll give you an idea of what we're looking at here. The first thing I did was obviously, I did move the delivery area a little bit. I moved it down one spot. I like 2 square openings. The reason for that is because the largest door you can have is a large cell door, which covers 2 blocks. So again, part of my OCD and keeping everything uniform, I want this area to be one flow through, as you can see, of 2 wide all the way through. So that's why deliveries, I moved it down. I just deleted a block of the delivery room up here and added it down here. That's why it's a little bit kind of faded. So after that, I then began to start building. So I started with these rooms here. These are going to be our administrative offices for the warden, the accountant, the security officer, the foreman, and the psychologist. You need 5 offices. That's the most you need right now. You can research and build a security office, but it has no purpose right now other than a place for some of your security officers to go to. Excuse me, this ate something bad. So it has no purpose. Building any more than 5 offices really doesn't have any purpose. So 5 offices. Off of those offices, to try to keep it uniform, I built out this room here. This is going to be the cleaning room. And I built up this room here, which is going to be the visitation. After that is going to be the holding cell. I have built many prisons without a holding cell, but you can build one if you want. In this case, I'm going to do it in order to meet the basic detention center grant deadline. Again, if you don't meet these either, if you don't meet any of these other ones that don't have an additional money grant to you, then it's not a big deal. But I figured we're going to try to clean this whole list. I want to make it so before the first guy walks through the door, everything here is gone. So that's where the holding cell is going to be. After that, we're going to have the prison block, the first cell block, and this is going to contain 16 cells. They are all 3x4. These cells will eventually all contain a bed, a toilet, a TV, and a bookshelf, as well as having a door, cell door. This area here is going to be the shower room. So as you can see, I have a straight flow through. All these prisoners here, including in the holding cell in the morning when they go to take a shower, will just walk down this hallway and go shower. North of that is going to be the area for the canteen and the kitchen. And actually, I didn't model in the kitchen here. I'll do that now. But this area is fairly large, especially for what could be less than 10 prisoners. But the reason I'm doing that is that as the prison expands, I'm going to need a lot of room. Canteen has to be a fairly large place in order to accommodate so many prisoners. So the two things you do is you build a fairly large canteen. The other thing you want to build is a fairly large kitchen. In this case, I'm going to have the kitchen be kind of like this center island area in the canteen. Now, this looks like it's cutting off a lot of space, and it is a little bit. It's cutting off a little space. It's also not equidistant. But what the reason for that is going to be is that the hope is that as the prison expands, I will be able to expand the canteen out over here and have the kitchen be, in the middle, like a room that's going to be in the middle of that. So, again, thinking ahead about expansion, that as the prison continues to grow, as we continue to expand our prison cells, probably to the south here, that when they come to the kitchen, there's going to be enough room for everybody to eat. So that's part of what we do. Over to the right of that is going to be the common room. Common rooms, again, if I'm going to have television sets in everybody's cells, it's probably going to be fine. Their entertainment level will be high. But let's say I have some guys in the holding cell, and I'm not going to have TVs in there. They're going to want something to do in their free time. So you have a common room. It's going to be fairly close. They'll just have a couple of pool tables. These two rooms are going to be the morgue and the infirmary once we research that to meet the medical ward, the health and well-being grant. So this is going to be the morgue and the infirmary area. Let's see what else we got. Okay, so and down here in this corner and in this corner, we're going to have the utilities room. Is going to be here. This is where we're going to put our power station and our water pump. And this room will be laundry to start off, because that way the workers can go do the laundry and bring it up here to be delivered. This area here, this area here, this area here are all going to eventually be workshops, okay, for them to work at. You don't need to make huge workshops because you only can put a maximum of 30 guys in any particular workshop, so you make them a certain size and then just you can assign workers to each one. This room, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this. It could be storage if I really wanted it to be, but that's kind of far away from the door and the kitchen and stuff like that, so I don't know. We'll just leave this open for now. I'll figure out something. I'm sure that I'll eventually maybe expand the shower into here or whatever. And this area back here is going to be the yard, okay? So that's going to be your basic overall structure of the building. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish out planning out the kitchen here, kitchen attachment, which is also going to have a storage room attached to it. I like to put the storage room next to the kitchen. I don't know why. I always do that, but it's just something I do. As I said, I guess I could make this a storage room, but then the prisoners would be either trapped to one exit to the yard. I want to keep that open, so that's not going to be a storage room. Storage room is going to be attached to the kitchen up here. And then you'll see that this will just be basically a rectangle, but it's going to have all the things we need. So I'm going to start building that out now, and we'll be back with a little bit more. All right, so we're back. We have the internal walls pretty much all done. The lights were all freaking installed. If the creators of this game ever watch this video, one of the things I think I would request is that they make it so I can determine where the lights are going to be installed. It costs a ton of money when you when you finally finish a building's foundations. The lights alone just cost $4,000. All these lights are unnecessary. If I was able to go ahead and put them in myself, then it would be a little bit more manageable, but what are you going to do? So anyway, so I went ahead, started marking off some rooms so you could see. I finished the yard, so now that's off the list. I have all the cells marked off, the shower, canteen, kitchen. This is the storage room, the holding area, visitation, cleaning room, which now has some bleach in it, costs a little money, about $100, and the offices up front. These rooms are not marked off yet because we haven't been able to, we haven't unlocked them yet. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to install utilities. I'm going to give you a little idea of how I try to do this. first thing you do is you're going to put in a power station. You want to have space open on all sides of the power station. The reason you do this is because you're going to be putting capacitors in at a later date that will allow you to increase the power capacity of the power station. And you get a free power station, a free capacitor to start off, so you might as well just install both of them. We'll also put a water pump down here. That doesn't need any space around it. That can just be put up against the wall. The other thing that I've been doing, I like to do, is put in a power switch. The reason for this is that if you have a certain type of object, like let's say, and this really centers around washing machines, they require both electricity and water to run. If let's say this is going to be the laundry room here. Let's say we have a washing machine sitting here. It's got electricity running to it. It's got water running to it. There's a riot that breaks out. A prisoner destroys the washing machine. Now water goes all over the floor. You have electricity flowing to that area that's open from this destroyed object. If any one of these workers attempts to run up to the object to fix it, they're going to electrocute themselves and die. So to prevent that, you put a power switch in. This allows you to shut off all power to the prison, so that way they can go about their business fixing things without the worry of being electrocuted. One of the things you're going to want to focus on when that happens, if something like that breaks out and you have guys scurrying about all over the place to fix things, do a bang up. So immediately send all the prisoners back to their cells and then shut off the power. So that way they're just trapped in their cells. They can be as angry as they want in there and destroy stuff, but they're not going to cause a general problem out in prison, and your guys can fix stuff. Then you turn the power back on and you're off and running. So put in some electrical cable here. First one will attach through there, so that will attach power to the water pump. As you can see, the function of the station is already working. It's got some wires that extend out to here and put power into these rooms. We're just going to extend this wire out to here, which costs us $400, and then we're going to start supplying power to other parts of the building. Actually, I did that wrong. I do not want those there. I want these running through the switch. So we're going to do a little different. You want all the power centered going through this switch. That way when you shut it off, it shuts off all power to the entire prison. And then branch all power off of this wire. So you start sending some power up here to offices and to the station room, and then up here to this hallway, and then extend it down here to the shower. One of the things you don't want to do is you do not want to have a wire cross into an area where there's walls built at a cross. So a wire here becomes an issue. Like if I was to put one there, the worker has trouble getting into that area. So you want to have it crossing. If it's going to cross a wall area, have it cross a wall area in the open area, not where it's meeting two other walls or one other wall. Power there. This should take care of itself. The power should flow into those rooms without a problem. And then we'll just flow the power through this area here, and then down through here. Now see, this is an issue. See, if I come out here, I'm going to hit these walls. It's going to be really hard to work as put in. So just one down there, and then extend it out. That hopefully give us power. And actually, look at this. Line running here, it'll probably cross over, but we'll leave it as is. It's no big deal. Another thing you might notice, we're really getting low, well, sort of low on money. We're at $18,000, but the good news is that the entire function of the prison is now operational. It's running. Well, we have all the internal walls built. We have all the rooms planned out. So really, all it's going to be left is just inserting objects and completing bureaucracy functions, researching things like prison labor and things like that. So, and we're going to need a capacitor. So this is actually a good time to talk about power. What happens? So we overextended our power. Attach another capacitor to it. I think that's going to work. Not exactly sure why. Seems to be that capacitor should work. Wasn't. That okay, so it's almost at capacity, as you can see. So anyway, how to turn on power when you short it out like that? You go to the capacitor first, you turn on the capacitor, then you go to the power station, you turn on the power station. That's how you would store power to the prison. Likewise, if you want to shut off all power to the prison, click on the switch, switch off, bang, and that will shut down all the power in the prison. So you're safe from possibly shorting anything out or causing a power overload. Again, that's why I put it there. It's just a safeguard against the possibility of having, an electrical short kill somebody. So I'm going to have these guys continue to install this stuff. It does take a while. Even fast speed on Prison Architect is a little slow, in my opinion, but because, you know what you're going to do. So just, especially in building phases, this should be a little quicker, but it's an alpha, so I'm sure they'll install. They may install something a little bit higher speed if you want it at some point, but as it stands right now, it still seems a little slow. So we'll be back once we get all the utilities in. I'm going to be doing the water as well, which is a little bit easier. We only need water to go to 3 places. The water is going to need to go to the cells, the shower, the kitchen area. Other than that, that's all the water plays part. Now, actually, I'll lay down the utility to give you an idea of what it's going to look like. This is going to be a pipe that comes out here. This is the laundry room. Obviously, then I'm pulling it through here, so we'll just have it come up there and come up here a little bit, and that's it. Just have it snake through the building, these areas, and that should do it right there for the pipes. So we'll be back after that stuff's all installed, and then we'll start putting in other objects that are going to give us some money. As I said, I'm down to $15,000. It looks like, I'm going to be in trouble here, but we're going to quickly get these cells built out, which is going to give us another $10,000. Then we're going to research the medical stuff, which is going to be able to hire more people, and we'll be able to get another $10,000. So we actually have like $35,000, and that's going to be more than enough money to complete all the stuff in the prison. So back. All right, so all the utilities are in. Take a look at the utilities map. See, water's flowing everywhere. We have a little electrical thing here going on in some area, not getting electricity. Sneaking a wire through the wall here. But otherwise, every place is getting electricity. It's fully powered. So now it's time to start working on our grants in order to get some money. So what we're going to do for that is, the first one is the easiest one. Just complete 15 cells. All you need is a cell room, a bed, and a toilet. So we're just going to go through. We're going to complete 15 cells. That's all we do. Do more of them. And that will grant us $10,000, which will help us when we move forward onto doing drawings. Beds installed. Toilets will now be installed. This will grant us grant. Oops, that place. Yeah. There we go. Our toilet. Boom. So now we're due 10 grand. As soon as that stuff gets installed. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to start building our office out. So we'll make an office here for the warden. Hopefully uses this office. They tend to run out, go use other rooms sometimes when you assign them to a certain office. So hope here is that when I assign him to this office, he actually goes to that office. Office requires the chair, a desk, a filing cabinet. I also put the staff door on there. The reason why you put a staff door on office buildings, it prevents prisoners from being able to freely walk into the room. If they want to go in there for any reason, they have to be allowed in by a guard, which is good because if a prisoner goes in with ill intent, a guard's going to be standing right there to watch him when he waltzes in to see what exactly he's up to. So that's why you put the staff doors on there. They're a little bit harder for prisoners to get through. They can still get through them, they can still knock them down and eventually get through, but it just gives an added level of protection to the people that are going to be working in there. Who likes the warden? No one likes the warden. I like the warden because he's a hard ass, but I don't think the prisoners do. So now we're going to hire him. Go to the staff window, click on the warden, hire him, and he didn't go to his office. He went to this one, so we have to. It's an alpha, so we have to give him his stuff, his office, so that way he can get work done. So again, desk, chair, filing cabinet, and a staff door. It's not a big deal if they end up going to another office. You're going to need the offices anyway, so if they just go to another one, don't worry about it. Just build out their stuff, put them in there. And once he's situated and underway in that office, then we're going to get him to start working on the first level of bureaucracy. We're going to need some more money, so the first thing that he's going to start working on, you click on the bureaucracy tab, you can see there, it's down here at the bottom. And we want him to start working on mental health. That's the first one. Because then we can hire a psychologist, and we can also start and hire a doctor, and that will allow us to start building out the infirmary and the morgue, which will give us another $10,000. So he'll be working on that for a little bit. In the meantime, we can start working on other things if we want. I'll probably start filling out these offices. Might as well just get them all completed. What the heck? We're here anyway, working on them. If you have an object and you ever want to rotate it, you just hit the R button. We'll just move it around. It's no big deal. Again, it's you can have it face anywhere. It's still it will still be operational. But I just tend to do it because I don't know. I like things to look very uniform. So that's why everything's going to be really OCD for me about placing the right area. Chairs, and then there's staff doors, and now when the workers are done, all the office space. In the meantime, he's working on mental health, so then the next step is we're going to hire a psychologist and a doctor after he researches health, and then we're going to be able to get another 10 grand. So as you can see, our money balance is coming back. We actually could begin to take prisoners here a little bit. We have the rooms to do it, but we're going to wait until I complete all the objectives, get everything installed, because you really don't want prisoners coming into your prison without it being finished. When you do that, it ends up being a real mess. Run into these problems where they can't do everything they want. One of the biggest things being laundry. Well, they've toned down in the most recent Alpha 12, they toned down how excited, so to speak, the prisoners get about laundry. It used to be that if they didn't have laundry, they would go crazy and start a riot. Now they just really kind of complain, and it adds to their overall unhappiness. So when you combine the laundry with, let's say food or recreation or sleep or anything like that, it just adds to their frustration level and can increase the possibility of a riot. So what I like to do is have prison work researched, so that way I can get a laundry going. So I have that off the list. They're getting fresh laundry, and they're not going to be flipping out at the smallest thing, because they at least have clean clothes. So that's the aim here, is that by completing all these, but before getting any prisoners inside, I have the highest possibility of success. There's some other tricks too that you can use. One of them being, with such a small prison as this, don't go maximum security on this. Maximum security guys are very difficult to handle. You need a lot of guards to keep that under control. If you have a relatively small prison, you're not going to have the guards or the money to compete against maximum security guys that will riot and fight a lot. So I generally will start off the prison actually on minimum security, and that's a little tricky because a lot of guys, as you'll see, come in and out of the prison, don't stick around for long. Their sentences end rather fast, and when that happens, you end up not making as much money as you normally would. But it allows you to at least get the prison working properly before you up the ante a little bit on the next level of prisoner. So the warden now is done with his research of mental health. So that means we can now hire the psychologist. Oops, We'll plop them in our office and see what actually comes up. All right, over there. And we go back into bureaucracy and start researching health. This is going to be done by Ward. Now, the psychologist's job essentially is once you get him, any prisoners that are in the prison, you will now be able to hover over them and see what is bothering them, see what needs are not being met at any given time. And so it will give you a general idea of where you may need to improve your prison to keep your prisoners a little bit more happy. So that's his only function. Doesn't research anything or anything like that. He just merely is there to provide you with some feedback on what the prisoners are up to, what they're thinking, how angry they are about things, what they're currently doing. It will let you know, like, oh, he's in his cell relaxing or watching TV or things like that to try to, meet a need. And from there, you can adjust your overall strategy for the prison build to try to minimize their anger issues. All right. So that's just something to keep in mind. That's why you get this guy. After health is done, we'll hire some doctors. We'll complete that. We get our $10,000, and then we really start to build out the rest of the prison with its objects. Complete our other objectives, which is going to be to hire a foreman, which will help us unlock prison labor, as well as a security officer, or I forget his name now. What is it? Chief, a security chief, who will allow us to do deployment, which will allow us to deploy prisoners to certain jobs. So we'll let this run for a little bit. It's about halfway there, and I'll be back with the next level of things that we're going to do. Researching health just ended. So with that, we're going to start hiring our doctors. It'll allow us to hire 2. That meets one of our criteria. And now we'll also be able to build an infirmary, as well as the ward. As you can see, the doctor's infirmary. And put some staff doors on these. And all you need to meet the criteria now is just stuff a medical bed inside the infirmary and stuff a morgue table and morgue slab inside the morgue. And you'll be all set. Once these 2 things are met, you get $10,000. Fire one of the doctors. All they're doing is costing you money. You're not going to need 2 doctors for a prison size. All you need is the rooms. So as soon as they slap this thing in here and we get our $10,000, I'm going to sack one of the doctors. There we go. We met it. So you just sack the doctor. See you later. You could sack both. Keep a doctor on duty. Guys get injured a lot. You want someone there that's going to be able to heal people and prevent a serious problem. So now that's all the money we can get to come into our prison, and we're at $23,000. We have a little work to do here in terms of completing the prison, but not too much. Most of the rooms are pretty much fitted out. So the next thing we do is we start working on important parts of the bureaucracy. Security is one of them, and then we're also going to have work on maintenance next, and then we'll have those guys work on the next level, which is going to be deployment and prison labor. So in the meantime, we're going to just continue to work on things like the kitchen and the canteen and so forth. So let's start working on the kitchen for starters. Kitchen's going to need a few things. It's going to need a refrigerator. It's going to need a stove. It's going to need a sink. So how I set it up is I typically will put all the cookers in a row along a wall. The fridge will be pretty close to it, like a block away usually. So like a fridge will go here. And then a sink will go in this area. You do not have to worry too much about stuff overlapping. They can get around stuff, like even if you put the sink here, they'll be able to get in and out of the room. For neatness sake, I'm going to just put it here. But they will be able to function without an issue. Wherever you put stuff, the cooks will be able to handle. So not a big deal there. I did have to install another capacitor because of the fact that everything's taking up so much power right now. I'm probably going to have to do that again. Matter of fact, after I hook these up, I could potentially see that happening. And so we'll just run electrical kit here, electrical kit there. And hopefully what will happen is we won't run into any more issues with power, but we probably will. We'll see how this goes. So so that's it. The kitchen's done. After those three things are installed, they're done. That's really all you're going to need to start. Your low prison populations don't need a lot of cooking space and a lot of stuff like that. They haven't installed those things, and we're really getting close to capacity on power, but it's not so bad. But you know, once those things are all installed, you're good to go. Your kitchen's completed now. Next step will be to do where the guys can eat. You can fit 8 people to a table. So if you're going to have 16 prisoners, that would mean get 2 tables and 4 benches, or for chairs you can do that. I personally just do benches. They'll live benches. Not a problem. So what we'll do here for the design is we'll just make it like a row table. 2 tables like that next to each other. And then we'll take our benches, just put them like that. So it's going to be like cafeteria eating. And we'll put a serving table right here, and we'll put it over here. And then the canteen will be done. Common room, we can tackle that now as well if we want. Slap a pool table in there. 1 pool table will be good enough. If you want to be fancy about it, you put a bench in to give them something to do, sit down on while they're in there. So put those 2 things in. The shower is going to cost us a little money. The other thing that's going to cost us money is putting in all these little doodads in their cells, but, you know, it's going to be necessary. Visitation. You know, might as well put some visitation tables in. Don't be stingy about it. You're going to get a lot of visitors. It tends to seem to get a lot. So I generally put in 4 to start. I know that seems crazy, but it does, you know, facilitate them being allowed to see their family without much of a problem. The other thing you can do is start putting some doors up. We're here. Door here. There. Cell doors. The reason you want to start putting up like doors in different areas is because it allows you to separate all the rooms out efficiently. If guys are rioting in a certain section of the prison, you can do a lockdown and essentially lock them into that section of the prison. A lot of the times I'm putting these doors in and I leave them open all the time. They're never really closed. But in the case of a lockdown, you know, you have that option. You have that option available to you to lock them in to the prison area without having to worry about them running wild and busting everything down and going crazy. So it's a good idea to just make sure you have all your doors installed. That way you can separate everything off, keep the prison kind of segregated in different areas, and you don't have to worry about them just running wild if there's a riot. So the doors are done. Also, bureaucracy for security is done, so now we'll start working on maintenance. We'll go ahead and hire the security chief. Go. His office. And we might as well have him start to research deployment. And let's see. What else do we need to do? Room's starting to look pretty good here. Let's do some more utility work. We'll start connecting all the toilets. Just allow us to. This is the other advantage to having a uniform prison. You don't have to snake pipes all over the place or anything like that. You can just connect all the piping in straight lines. It just makes it easier on you. You're installing stuff. And we might as well just put the last stuff in this final cell here. Bed. Toilet. Holding cell, you need a bench. Autosave. You know, the requirements for the holding cell are just bench and toilets. But I would also put beds in here. The reason for that is you have overflow, and you're not going to be able to, get it, get those prisoners into a cell immediately by the end of the day. You're definitely going to want beds for them to sleep in. So it doesn't hurt to just put a few beds in there. Save on things. This doesn't have to be a lot. 4 cells. 4 beds, that's fine. Still working on maintenance deployment here, so that's there. We'll start working on the shower area after that. Showers are very simple as well. One of the things you're going to want to do, without question, have a situation like this. Actually, I'm going to show you a little trick as well that I've been working on with the shower rooms. You want toilets readily available almost all the time. So, having them in cells, having them in the shower, having them inside the holding room. The reason you do that is because it just makes it easier for these guys to go to the bathroom when they want to go to the bathroom. It's one of the things that they will be able to take a leak whenever they want. So, be liberal with toilets. They're fairly cheap. They're only $100 a shot, so it's not the end of the world. Put it in bed. Drains. They work with large pipes. Make sure you have large pipes underneath your drains. That will allow you to them to actually work. The other thing that I've noticed is a lot of people complain they have a room like this and the water leaks out the hallway. There's a way you can stop it from doing that. Just simply build little buffer walls here along like the entrance areas, and then go into drain thing, put drains next to those buffers, and now the water will not leak out of this room. Be trapped in there and will only stay in the shower area. Looks like bureaucracy on maintenance is done. So I'll hire a foreman. Now it says exceeds daily budget. So what happens here is that our current expenditure on staff is outpacing what we make per day because we have no prisoners coming in. It's okay. Just fire some guys. Get rid of them. You don't need this many workmen. Notice how I have all these jobs set up and not all these guys are running around doing stuff. It means you have too many. Get rid of them. After you dump a few of them, you should be able to hire the foreman without an issue. Office. One's good. He's the boss, not you, I guess. And now you have the foreman. So now you go to bureaucracy again. You have him research prison keeper. Now you are cooking with gas. You have $9,000 left. You have the ability to. You're going to be able to set up a laundry room and essentially have all the prisoners get all the stuff that they need when they're coming in. So we pretty much accomplished everything we need to accomplish. One of the things you notice in this here, we unlock finance through bureaucracy. If you want to do it, you can go to the bureaucracy. It's $500. Get rid of it. There you go. Get rid of that. Then you hire an accountant. That'll be gone. Then all you're left with is hiring 2 guards, 2 chefs, and you've completely hammered all the grants in one shot. So just finish off the shower now, shower heads, and toilets. So what I generally do is just kind of go free of the space. So we'll go boom, 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 boom. That. Put a couple in here. That's fine. Toilets. Go. And then go into utilities, do your piping. Small pipes or what you want to connect to these things. You can do large pipes too. I mean, they both work, but small pipes are cheaper. So it doesn't use small pipes. That. We're going to have large pipes go to drains. And then the shower's going to be done. Still got 7,000 left. So that's going to allow you to hire your accountant and finish off the cells here. This is where it gets expensive, depending on what you want to do. As I said, I like to put TVs in every cell. If I do that for 16 cells at $200 a shot, that's going to cost me $3,200. Math! See how I did the math there so quickly? So, I have to keep that in mind. If I'm going to start hiring guards, chefs, and stuff like that, they cost $500 a piece. It's going to cost me $2,000 just to get up to the guards and chefs section here. And then it's going to cost me another $1,000 for an accountant. So that's $3,000. So that would only leave me with about $4,651 to complete the cells. So I'm not going to be able to put the TVs in right away. I'm going to have to do it with just bookshelves, I guess, for now. So that's what we'll do. They're cheap, $30 a piece. We'll just put some bookshelves. I'm not entirely sure if they even really use these. I do put them in there. It seems to keep everybody a little chilled out. But, who knows? It's my I'm going to put those all in there. They're going to shower. Now the yard. If you're going to do low security, guys, I just put a phone bank out here. 4 phones is fine. It's going to be more than enough to keep them happy. So 4 phones. There you go. Needing a lot of different requirements here. The bells and stuff going off are. And we're going to might as well hire the 2 guards now. That's budgets. I'm going to have to put another workman. Add him later. Guard. Whoop. Okay, that's off the list. Second, another workman when we have an opportunity. That'll allow us to another couple of workmen off the list. Will allow us to hire 2 more chefs, and then we'll just be left with hiring the accountant, and we'll be done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just let these guys work now. It's more efficient to install the stuff. I just keep them working. But now everything's pretty much done. Have laundry room. That. We may not be able to put in the laundry. I kind of want to, though. That's kind of... I think we're just going to forego the account hiring and go with the laundry room. Laundry machine. Get us an ironing board. Some laundry basket. Go. Now we might be able to hire the accountant still. Not entirely. We're just going to have no cell doors here, but that's all right. We have cell doors here and here. Allow us to essentially keep them in this locked cell area until we can put all the cells. Start firing people yet or what? Not yet. Still on it. And as you can see, I'm doing all this, no money cheats. That's one of the things that a lot of people do. You can obviously edit some of the files. I know there's ways to do that you can give yourself a ton of money, which allows you to essentially do whatever you want. Hire 1 million guards and all that other fun stuff and build a humongous prison. But if you're going to do it, with what they give you, this is the way to do it. This is the formula to try to make sure you don't run out of money too quickly. So this is essentially how it's done. You just got to plan ahead. You plan ahead properly, you will succeed at this game. If you do not plan ahead, you are going to run into issues. You're going to have certain situations that end up costing you a little bit in terms of, the ability to, in terms of, what it's going to run you to, you're going to run into problems. You're going to end up having riots a lot if the prison is not planned out properly. Phones are a big thing. You need the phones for them to call their family so they can have visitation. That's the whole reason you build a visitation area. You got to have them be able to get to places like the canteen quickly to eat from an area like the shower or from their cells or from the yard. So you want to make those areas kind of central locations. And you also want to plan ahead with their size just to make sure that you don't run out of space. One of the things that can happen is you install stuff, and the worst part is you're like, oh my god, I put uh, I put the cells so far away from the canteen that it takes them 45 minutes to get there to eat, and then they only have 15 minutes left or so. You don't want to do that. You want to try to think about it, plan it out. One of the other tricks that you can do, and this is just something that I picked up from playing in terms of the regime for the day, if you put meal quality at high and meal variety at high, this will keep them the most happy. And more importantly, you only have to feed them twice a day. When you have this type of setup, high and high, they only need to eat once every 9 hours. So what I generally do is I have them eat at 12, and I have them eat again at 9. Did I say that every 9 hours? Right. Okay. So then the rest of the time is just you fill it up with what you want. So wake up and shower at 7. A couple hours of free time after that, let's say. Okay. Then have them go to work from 10 till 11. Then they eat. Then they get a little bit more free time after lunch. Then we make them work some more up until, let's say, 7. They get a little free time before dinner and a little free time after dinner to do what they want. That's generally what my thing looks like. Sometimes what I will do, see that second should be in there, I'll make them go to yard time at 2, so they have yard. This is generally the setup I use for the thing. It works pretty good. They stay fairly happy. I'll make another video to show you how this prison works out in terms of their happiness level and so forth. But that's generally what happens. They seem to be fairly happy. Everything's been installed, so it's time to sack the rest of the workers that I don't need. Yeah, you can go with 2 workers. That's really all you don't need to go more crazy than that in terms of workers. Hire the accountant. Drop her in there. There you go. That's done. 2 chefs we need. Might give us a little bit of a hard time about fish buns. No, there you go. And there you go. The list is completed. We're good for prisoners now. So we just go to prisoners, open them up. As I said, you can start off with low, normal, or high risk. Start off with low risk. It's probably the best bet. They're less likely to cause trouble to start things off. Since you have deployment, go here, start unlocking or putting jobs. So okay, you guys, we're gonna have 3 guys on laundry now. We have $1,300 left. We can't at this time, unfortunately, research cleaning, which is $2,000, but that would allow us to start assigning prisoners to the cleaning area to have them, go ahead and prison. But that's basically it. We've achieved everything for the list. We still have some money left over. The prison's ready to rock and roll here. Everybody's got a cell. We're going to have a cell, or somewhere to sleep at least. They're going to be able to eat. They're going to have a yard to work out in. Laundry. You have plenty of power right now. You're going to need to increase that probably shortly. We do have enough money to slap another pastor on there, but no reason to do that. So you can just do something that's like maybe a beautification project. Go into materials. This actually does help. Put some paving stones in certain areas. Pave out of this whole area. This will allow the workers to get in and out of the building quickly. And that's really it. So here's your prison. It's just the start of it, obviously, but you have plenty of room to expand. I imagine this prison is probably going to have a central yard area, and we'll build around that. This whole area here will be a canteen, and then you can just really go crazy everywhere else because you've met all the basics. You're not going to need to build any more offices. You may need to expand visitation. That's probably going to be, if I see any place that's going to be an issue, it might be visitation. But what I can see us doing here is potentially pushing into the laundry area, because you're not going to need a huge laundry room like this. So we could potentially push the laundry room into maybe half this size, expand the visitation area to double its size, and then maybe cut this workshop area down. And maybe that's what this area will be. We'll push everything in this area here down to this end, and that will be able to accommodate, its equal workshop sizes. So that's it. This is Evil Bill. I hope you liked this video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. But that's how you build your prison to start off with and meet all the obligations without having to worry about money. Thank you very much for watching.